Hey, it's Hunt. You found Hunt on Saints. We're talking black and gold football. Do us a favor. Hit the like button, share your comments below, and hit that subscription button so you can get all of our content. Enjoy. The Saints have made some moves, obviously, with the coaching staff on offense to begin this offseason. And we're still looking for who the next offensive coordinator for New Orleans will be. And if you were listening earlier, when we chatted with Luke Johnson, he expects that decision to be drawn out a little bit, maybe another couple of weeks before that decision is made. And that's perfectly acceptable. You're not under the gun at this point in terms of timing. And there's a piece written on Fan Nation, part of the SI network, that caught my attention today from Bob Rose. And he just kind of laid out the situation with Doug Marrone, the Saints offensive line coach. Doug Marrone was one of the coaches that was not relieved of his duties on the offensive side of the ball. And I'll be honest, it's a little curious. And it kind of smacks of what we've grown accustomed to the Saints as being, certainly post Sean Payton, but even in the Payton era. There's a little club there that fits in the bubble, and it just takes a long time to get them out of the bubble. And Doug Marrone is very much in the bubble. He's part of this group that was held together for continuity's sake to try to extend the greatest run in the history of the franchise. He's 59 years old. He was the offensive coordinator on Sean Payton's first staff in New Orleans back in 2006. He was there for 3 years, and over those 3 years, the Saints were fantastic. They were first in both total offense and passing, and they were top 5 in the league in scoring offense 2 of the 3 years. They were great. And Marrone left that job to become the head coach at Syracuse, and then he became the head coach of the Buffalo Bills. After that didn't work out, Jacksonville brought him in as an offensive line coach, and then he was the interim coach there, and then took over as the full-time head coach in Jacksonville. But when he became available, after 6 years in Jacksonville, he went to work at Alabama, had a little bit of a run there, and then in 2022, Dennis Allen brought him back in as the offensive line coach following Sean Payton's resignation. And just another one of those guys that's been part of the crew, and so we'll bring him on back to be part of the crew. But his unit has been very, very poor. We know the Saints had a horrible time trying to run the football this year, especially out of traditional formations. Taysom Hill had some success when you can win the numbers game because you don't have a quarterback back there, and they've got to go ahead and take control of that. But you're talking about a Saints offense that's managed fewer than 110 rushing yards per game and has been near the bottom of the NFL in rushing average since Marrone returned. Last year, they were 31st in the league in yards per carry, 3.6 per carry. And it's not like they're any better protecting the passer. Jameis Winston got hurt. Derek Carr's been hurt. And they've been under pressure essentially the entire time. And it'd be one thing if you had a significant talent problem. If you've got a quarterback's coach and he's back there coaching a rookie 6th-round draft pick, well, I don't know if he's doing a terrible job. He doesn't have a guy that's capable of doing the job. But the fact of the matter is that the Saints' offensive line is made up of a lot of money and a lot of early-round draft resources. Ruiz, McCoy, Ramczyk, Pete, Penning. These are guys that the Saints took early, identified as pillars to the offense, because while I'm a little bit criticizing just keeping the band together from 2006 through 2024, it was, after Breeze, the installation of that stellar offensive line, which really helped springboard the whole thing. With Jari Evans and the whole crew, you know that story. Carl Nix. So I'm not going to criticize you for drafting offensive linemen really early, but I am going to criticize somebody if you draft all these offensive linemen really early and the line stinks. I don't know if it's evaluation. I don't know if it's scheme, technique, execution, but it's not good. And you took Penning in the first round 2 years ago, and he's benched. And you took Nick Saldiveri in the 4th round this year, and he played 18 offensive snaps. And you had some real problems up front that you ended up plugging with guys off their couch. These guys weren't even on anyone's roster, and you're signing them to come in and start at right tackle. Ruiz has been bad. McCoy's been mediocre. And there's not even really a strength of the unit. I will say this in the course of this discussion, like they got better over time, and maybe that's because Doug Marrone got in there and got his hands dirty and took the hodgepodge unit and made Pete work at left tackle and took your journeyman and put them on the right side, and like it got a little bit better. And Derek Carr got healthier and the offense moved a little bit more efficiently. But to suggest that Doug Marrone's been a slam dunk would be a little bit misleading. I'm surprised that Doug Marrone is still there because of the production from that unit. You moved on from your wide receivers coach, your offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach. And Ronald Curry's still around, and they think the world of him, and they're interviewing him for the offensive coordinator role, and okay. And Marrone's still around. And as we talked to Luke in the last hour, like maybe you hire a new offensive coordinator, he's got some staffers in mind, and he's going to help clean house because he took this job with the source of autonomy. And you know what? That wouldn't be shocking. Because we've talked about this a good bit over the last 2 weeks, that whatever offensive coordinator you're bringing in has to, at least in the back of his mind, understand that the head coach he's coming in to work for is on a little bit of a warm seat. So you're going to say, I want this job, I want to do this, and I'll be good at it. But there's a reason that you cleaned house on the offensive side of the ball. And you're probably going to need to do a little bit more of that because I got guys that can make this thing better than what you had that made you clean house right after the season was over. And maybe that's part of the interview process, and you've got someone strong-willed enough to say that's what we're going to do. As Luke said, a lot of people in the organization really like Doug Marrone. He's a nice guy, and he's well-respected, and he's been around. But I'm just looking at the productivity of the group. Outside of Ramchick's injuries, which have derailed his career later on, Penning, what? Ruiz, huh? Some of these guys that are early in their career that should be entering their prime are declining? Seems like not great on the coaching front. So we'll see when the coordinator hire is made, what that decision looks like. Maybe they think Doug Marrone's the guy, and you move forward. But it would not surprise me also if they bring in a new offensive coordinator that says, I think we're going to go in a different direction here. Hey, it's on. Thanks for watching Hunt on Saints. Before you leave, help us out a little bit. Hit that like button, leave your comments in the section below, and hit that subscribe button so you get all our content right here from Hunt on Saints. We'll see you next time.